Thank you very much, Tom. I appreciate the intro, and I have to disappoint, there will be no flips. But I'm thankful for you guys sharing the next 30 minutes here with me. I try to stick to the time as much as I can. My goal is to give you guys a golden nugget, at least one. So golden nugget is kind of a piece of advice that you can take home that is actionable. My name is Joe Albrecht. As Tom said, I head up Xngage, which we founded over 10 years ago, and exclusively serve distributors and manufacturers. What do? We are absolutely obsessed and passionate about creating buyer and seller interactions. That is our nomenclature for B2B e-commerce and everything our clients, the sellers, the merchants, the distributors are doing to serve better their customers, the buyers. Can I check who is a distributor or manufacturer here? Yeah, I know you guys. Okay, there's some. Okay, I can stay here because I see my competition a lot, so I want to make sure. Okay, so if you take e-commerce, B2B e-commerce, you overlap it with PIM, the discipline of product information management, and all the headaches that come with that. And then you layer on top process automation and integration. AI, yes, I got you there a little bit. Then you have an intersection of an energy field that can really help you become competitive in this digital age. This is exactly the space in which Xngage is positioned. We are here to help our clients in partnership to drive innovation. Conversational commerce is really a topic that I love a lot. We have been dabbling around with this topic going back to 2017, and I show you a little bit here something in a second, but the topic is not new. Language evolution and the ability to have machines speak and think and communicate much like a machine is going back to Alan Turing, as we heard yesterday. And obviously it took about 70 years until we really could say, oh, now we have a machine that understands what we are saying. And that was in 2022 when ChatGPT took the scene. So you see this here as the second dotted line. In 2017 already we saw Siri come to market, we saw Google Voice, we saw Google Classes. We were excited, we were still doing a lot of B2B at that time, but we wanted to play with these technologies. And so we had a hunch that eventually our B2B buyers will transact by talking to someone. An important sort of pivot point that we really reached was in 2022, as we said with ChatGPT. Now it took only 5 years from 2017 to move from a system that could kind of understand language, move it into text and then follow some commands, to a system that understands and almost thinks, right? 5 years. So now, this time already passed, 3 years later we are on another pivot point, entering the multimodal and agentic AI. This is a time that we are in right now. Here you see a little proof that it was really not that great and not working. Let's see if this works. I will speed it up.
Sure, here's the test version of Xngage Commerce.
Hi, say help for a list of functions.
Add 5 3-feed HDMI cables to my cart.
Okay, it's been added.
Add 1 DirecTV and receiver to my cart.
So I don't make you watch this all, but you get the idea. It is very prompt driven. You hear our Jamie is talking, she says add this and that to the cart, and behind the scenes the system can barely convert that into text and then issue an API call, and then we headlessly add items into our e-commerce platform. But obviously it's not robust, because if I was going to speak to this thing, it wouldn't understand the word. So, yeah, and here you see the order now placed in the e-com platform at that time. Let's go back to the topic at hand. 2017, language models kind of started to really evolve, and then in 2020, the first real production-ready mainstream large language model emerged. So what is this, the language model? I'm not going to go in detail because it's hard to understand, but it's basically a neural network. And that's important to understand. It's a neural network. It's basically a computer brain. Because our human brain is also a neural network, much like based on chemical reactions and electronic impulses. If I punch you down here, you feel it here because there's an electronic impulse running. And this is foundational because it's going to change a lot what's going to happen here in the next few years. So generative conversational AI really helped us with knowledge, with having a conversation and using ChatGPT a lot for research, for getting answers. It's a beautiful tool. If you know nothing about a certain topic, you can really find out a lot very fast and become a fairly good expert. I use it in my personal life. I got into LED lighting and know absolutely nothing about it. And then I found out that my client actually sells LED power systems, and I understood how I need to size it and all of that with the help of a tool. Now, agentic adds a whole nother layer, and this is tomorrow, right? It adds the ability to learn and ration and think and act. And that is what another game-changing moment is in this moment of time. It can now decide what actions to take, it can respond, and it can actually break down a process to accomplish tasks. It can remember your preferences, your shopping behaviors. It can, of course, understand your order history and all of that, and it can in real time address and solve for complex problems. So this talk is about how AI will impact our B2B e-commerce world. And about 2010, I can say B2B e-commerce came to the stage a lot. We started in 2015 with our first website going live. And then now we have generative in 2022, and we have agentic tomorrow. So these are three massive forces that affected our space. And when I say our, I talk to my fellow clients, manufacturers, and distributors. But of course also the space that we all play in. But I want to look at this impact from the viewpoint of a distributor or manufacturer. If you think about what makes B2B distribution businesses what they are and what they have been since over 100 years often, it's coming down for me, in my view, to three areas. One, the processes. You are very good in making your customers successful, serving their customers. Why? Because you deliver to them the products that they need in conducting business. When they need it, where they need it, and so on. You also want to make it very easy to do business with you for that very same reason. And this is all about the process. The biggest difference between B2C and B2B is that B2B is process focused. B2C is product oriented. So the second force is then the expertise. Some of you probably remember Andy Hoare from Forrester proclaiming the death of the sales rep in 2015. Well, the sales reps are still around, and for a good reason, because they have a lot of expertise and they help your customers understand the products and understand the solutions that they are looking to build. The third is the relationship. I walked in to a distributor and I was greeted with the words, "What the hell do you want here? Our clients, they don't buy online." The marketing person brought me in, the CEO wanted me gone. And I said, "Oh, wow." And the next thing was, "What do you mean?" "Well, they come in our branch because we serve them coffee and we have a relationship and they buy from us." I said, "Great. What if Starbucks opens up next to their home?" He looked at me, "What is this guy saying?" "Well, they still come in my branch and buy my stuff." Yes, the coffee isn't the differentiator, right? It's the relationship you have, and it's the service level you provide, and it's all the things you do in your value chain in sourcing the things you might not even have in inventory. I have many clients that go to market with that notion. We will source it, even if we don't have it. Now, how are these three forces going to impact this space in which we all are? B2B e-commerce impacted how you do business. Everyone kind of understands it now, and I don't want to use the COVID thing, but it's kind of true. With COVID, everyone understood the importance of having an online presence. The next force, the generative conversational AI, is already impacting the expertise. I'm not saying it's taking the job of the sales reps, but it's definitely changing that role yet again. And it can, of course, take some jobs, and it will, but it can also provide for more efficiencies, faster response times in handling your customers' projects, RFPs, responses, etc. The next stage and force, the agentic AI, will be impacting the relationship, because the relationship will be increasingly also with your customers that are non-human. Machine-to-machine commerce isn't something new from a concept point of view, but it's now possible. That means that now your customers can procure by having an agent that will do all the bidding, all the negotiating. So, to the core of the presentation, and how much time do I have left? Good, doing good. I want to give you 7 suggestions, thoughts, take them or leave them, but these are things that we are thinking about with our clients. And the first one is really to understand this trajectory, right? We don't know when the time comes that the next model is launched, ChatGPT 5, 6, 7. We don't know when it is in the position to actually do all the buying from you, but we know it's coming if we understand the underlying technology. Back to the brain. Okay, I think it's not going to be a smooth next step that gradually comes, but it could be a seismic shift. One that affects how your customers are procuring. We already talked about machine-to-machine commerce. 2, hyper-personalized, contextualized journeys. The system can remember for a long period your customers' buyer preferences, contract terms, conditions, and act and adjust behaviors in real time. Automated sales and customer service processes. We had a lot of folks talk about how they are already adopting that, how it is actually helping to reduce phone calls, how it is helping with maybe checking order status, things like this. That is absolutely viable. It's actually already here. And then last but not least, I think this has the potential to disrupt and change a little bit how you buy from your suppliers, right? So think about you also buying from all these suppliers to then store inventory to resell it to your business customers. Will you use agents to do that? Will you use agents to find better pricing, source from multiple sources, etc.? Now, what can we do? We need a framework of executing, and this has nothing to do with AI. This is just what we typically talk about when we talk about the topic of strategy. How should we go about this? Because we can get lost in this idea of technologies and fancy things that come out every other week. At the end of the day, you don't need an AI strategy so much, right? The founders of your organizations didn't have a concrete strategy or cement strategy. They just thought about when do we open another branch and where and why. So start with the business outcomes. This was said yesterday by several speakers and is absolutely true. But you need to understand the emerging technologies because they can now inform what objectives you are formulating and how you carve out your business strategy to achieve these outcomes. Right? So you are formulating and deriving goals, I call them hyper-objectives, that are actually forming your digital vision. That's the formulation portion of digital strategy. Then these goals typically evolve around 3 big areas. One is customer experiences, right? Do you give your customers an ability to ask questions about a product online? That's a customer experience objective. a bot, an agent. They are about streamlining operations, thus saving cost. That's going to be a big one on the margins that are already slim. And, of course, innovation. Innovative new products. Now you are in reselling products a lot. Your manufacturers, new products, of course, distributor, maybe new services. Thinking about the services you provide that are not going to be done by a bot or an agent. Delivery, your trucks, your fleet, these are all very important pieces. Now, once you have these goals, you need a roadmap that you can execute and prioritize, right? We talk all the time about release schedules and what's next. It's an ongoing effort. Okay, I'm going a bit faster, but this is the execution phase. This is how you put your strategy to action and how you achieve these impacts. I recommend you to think about the partnerships, right? I'm saying this self-serving, but also for all my friendly competitors in the room. We bring to the table the things you need to act and move quickly and fast. Third, do an assessment. I'm not going to read this to you. SWOT, whatever you want to call it. But do an assessment, ask questions like, start with the threats and the risks. What if our largest customer, national account, that does the most revenue with us, procures tomorrow using agents and bots? Why? Because Coupa rolls out that capability. Yesterday you heard from Xngage that this is coming for Znode. Well, I'm sure it's coming in Coupa's world as well, or Ariba's, or what have you. So what happens then if you're not ready to serve that bot buying? And many other questions, I leave them here for you in the takeaway. But look at these things and how you would be affected as a business, and then formulate objectives to counteract. Look at your strengths as well, because what you're doing really, really good, most likely is a great area to further innovate using these same technologies. 4, how much more time we have here? 15, 10? Good. Evaluate your digital ecosystem. We heard it a lot of times yesterday, breaking down those silos. I hear it a lot with clients. Everyone is moving to data lakes or data warehouses. The speaker just ahead of me talked about how this is very important to pull all these data sets together and start reporting on them. Start understanding them, because the AI tools need that as well. Many other topics that I don't want to all read, but things like, do you buy and have a modern platform like Znode that is headless, that can be integrated, etc. 5, and this was prepared long before I heard about Nelly. This will be the connective tissue that you will be also in need starting to focus on, and it's very, very helpful if your platform vendor is focused on that. The topic of MCP, Model Context Protocol. It's like the fabric, the connective tissue between your agentic customer and your agentic seller, agents, right? It's like the HTTP. This is as big as the internet. 6, now we get into more tactical advice. What can you do today? Because today is still the same. We still have lots of challenges to solve, and we continue to do it. Those who have entered B2B e-commerce 10 years ago, they have an advantage from those who don't even have an e-commerce website today, because they went through all this painful stuff, all this product data, right? All the things we hear about in these talks. But what can you do today? Gain executive buying. This is not a project, it's not a destination, it's an ongoing effort. Then establish dedicated teams that have a full-time job description that has to do with digital and these topics. AI governance. Think about how can you allow adoption of AI today without being too scared about data safety, right? Most of all organizations I know have email servers happily in Azure, Office 360 sends me a summary of all my emails every week. Well, they have all my data. They know everything. So yes, I'm not saying it's not important to think about IP and data security. In contrary, it's very important, but you also don't want to stifle the ability for your team members to explore it. Tackle your data, break down these silos, start reporting on it, aggregating it. Specifically for product data, I have seen PIM adoption go through the roof. Every single client we have has already implemented PIM or is in the process of doing it. Not only that, buying a PIM is just a start, but then leveraging the technology to further enhance and improve the data beyond what you may be buying from a supplier or buying group, right? These data points are fantastic. We have a lot of great stories around the AD e-commerce connector and others, but you want more. Your agents want more. Your future buying experiences will need more. 3D models, images, spec sheets, etc. Implementing structured data should be something you have already done. If you haven't, then do it now. Agents are crawling your website today to understand what is your product catalog like, what do you sell at what price, and where do you have it in inventory. If your website is locked down, you haven't cared about Google and SEO, so it is not a big topic. But going forward, it will be a big topic. JSON-LD is a metadata that helps agents understand your product semantically, not just from a high level. Elicit and aggregate product and solution expertise. So now the sales reps, right, they're gonna hate me. Yes, your sales reps often know a ton, and they have it in their heads and it's not written down. For a business, you need that knowledge. The more you can manifest it in some shape or form, the better you will be equipped to allow agents leverage this data. Analytics, our bots visiting your site, we talked about it a second. We see a lot of drop here. Becca is in the room. She works with clients on the analytics side, and we're seeing a lot of drop of organic traffic. Has to do with the fact that Google now has the AI summaries. But think about your analytics topics, and especially which bots you do allow to your site and which ones you're going to block. Get cited. So while the organic traffic might drop, you might actually still be very much in the conversation if you show up in Google AI summaries. And in fact, Google, just like ChatGPT, has the Gemini language model, or LLM, and is rolling out what's called the AI mode. So you need to take care that you show up in AI summaries. And that's the field of GEO, right? Work with your partner to look what you could deploy today. Go for the lower hanging fruits. Don't feel you need to have a big bang strategy, but get going and don't break the bank. Tomorrow, and that's really tomorrow, you will have to start thinking about how you deploy customer-facing agents. And a platform like Znode that enables MCP exposes your capabilities to these agents. That's what this means. And you will hear from, where is he? Yash, much more about that. Think about how you deploy them to your customers, maybe in the POS, in the branch. How can your customers benefit from an agent that knows a lot about your products, can help them find the right product, and then ultimately business automation. Doesn't have to always be AI. Simple stuff like how do you improve quoting? Take the process down from 1 hour to 60 seconds or 5 minutes. We did a project with Garrett. They sold popcorn to the airlines, and so gifting, right? 2,000 different recipients get a tin of popcorn over Christmas. It took them like 6 hours to handle these orders in spreadsheets and all this. At the time, we took it down to 20 minutes through the website, upload an Excel sheet with all the tins and the popcorn, and then send it to 2,000 different recipients. Last but not least, the supply chain integration topic. I'm not an expert in this, but I know AI will also provide for some opportunities as well as risks on that end. Reimagine your core. What are you really good at? What is it that you give to your customers that cannot be handled by any smart agent, no matter how smart it is? So think of this. There's a lot to be done, I believe, when it comes to, let's just call it delivery, fulfillment, these kinds of topics. Okay, in summary today, focus on digitizing and standardizing your data. Data is the currency of doing business, especially in this agentic world. You have been doing this probably a lot already around your product catalog if you are in e-commerce, so that's great. And tomorrow, think about becoming an agent-friendly organization. And ultimately, the topic of RAG came up yesterday. I don't remember, but someone talked about it. RAG is kind of a knowledge base that contextualizes what these agents will do and respond with a specific domain expertise and knowledge that you have. And that should set you up. Good. Last but not least, there is solutions. They are emerging. We have some. We are building the X agents. I'm going to show you the first one, product consultation, here in a second. Others we are working on, and thankfully we have a partner like Znode who understands this topic and understands that things like inventory and pricing questions will increasingly be done through agents. Order submission, of course, as well, RFP, all that. Okay, I used to be in biotech, so I had to build these systems that move micro titer plates around, and I always struggled with finding the right motors and what have you. So I want to show you a little example where I'm not asking about a product, where I'm coming from a very naive place of having to find a motor for this particular application. So I'm saying, this is all text-based, but it could be voice-based, doesn't matter. I'm doing a project and this and this. I have these moving stages. What do you suggest? What do you have? It gives me some options of motors that are in this particular website's inventory. It then asks questions that qualify further what kind of a motor I might need. I'm saying things like, hey, I need medium precision, it's a medical application, blah, blah, blah. I need high reproducibility, things that this system asks me. That is very bad. Thanks for calling this out. Why is this not up there? Yesterday it was up there. How do I do this now? All right. Okay. It's nice, it stopped now. I can actually explain what I was showing you. So the agent is, I was typing in, hey, I'm doing a micro titer plate automation project. What motors do you have? It then asks me questions. What is the precision you need? I answer now, okay, I need a 10 micrometer precision level and what have you. And then it starts asking more things. Let's quickly watch this. And I try to do it here while it's doing it. So the point is, it asks me stuff that it knows only about because it has access to spec sheets that belong to my products in this catalog. And it asks me and understands that I'm doing actually an automation project. There is nothing in this spec sheet about an automation project, right? There's just data about the motors. So it combines external knowledge from the large language model with domain-specific knowledge through the RAG and comes up with options for me. In this case, do you want a stepper? I said yes, give me a servo motor. And by the way, now I'm saying, hey, give me also some info about that servo motor. Can you send me a spec sheet? What part number would it be? I'm on a product page, but this is not the product that I actually need. And here's the spec sheet of the product I do need, so I can search for it because I got the part number, and now I find my product in my catalog. So now you're going to ask, but Joe, is this really the right motor? I have no clue. But this is what's possible today, right? Just to give you an idea where this can go and will go. And it's not based on any knowledge about the biotech application. It's only based on the information that system has been made accessible to, which is the spec sheets of these products. Real manufacturer spec sheets that we downloaded from whatever. Okay, so with this, that was it. Have a great day and thank you for your attention.